Grading. Grading is my biggest challenge. The more students I have, the more feedback I have to sift through, and grading of these weekly metacognitive surveys are a struggle, right? But, I think for me, I still will do it, right? I've had 45 students in organic chemistry. I've had 75 students in organic chemistry. It's still a way for me to open the door to communicate with them. So whether it's how much time do I have, I really like reading their reflections every week, but some assignments can take longer than others. And so there is a challenge with these types of assignments that are not auto-graded, that are not, you know, hey, students are going to grade them themselves, or it's just for their own use. When there's this feedback, it's important for student agency to be able to be there and to have these open-ended questions and these assignments, but the grading can take a lot. And so what I have done is I look at my class and I say, look, can I get this done in a timely manner within a week? If it's not able to be graded within a week, it was busy work then. And I call myself out on it. And so if I can't give feedback to students, then there was no real point to the assignment in general. And so I try to reframe it then, right? So as classes get bigger and I would have more grading, then I try to really think about how the assignment or the activity was meant to be. Maybe that means problem-based learning gets pulled into the classroom. And we don't do it as a separate assignment. We do it as a day where students then get paired up in groups and have time to interact and to answer the questions. And then we go over them all together and everybody gets credit for that day for being there. I think that would be more helpful than me just throwing it out altogether, right? So, or just not giving them feedback on it. And so I think the biggest challenge I see is the time it takes to grade and to give feedback. But it's about scaffolding that and saying, well, on smaller classes, we could have more. And specifically in smaller classes, we could have those really cool educational classrooms where there's, 5 top tables. The bigger classrooms you get, the more stadium seatings you get so that they're feeling a little bit more isolated. And so you have to be a little bit more creative in that. And also the grading is intense. And so it's just about being honest with myself and saying, at what point would this be not effective anymore? And so that might look like, okay, in bigger classrooms, I have, 2 problem-based learnings instead of 4. Or I do biweekly metacognitive check-ins. Or I just do exam wrappers instead of the weekly metacognitive check-in. And the homework then gets to be where they are responsible for it, right? Put more agency on the students. Here's an answer key. You go grade yourself, right? And I'll give you credit for attempting, but you need to actually, we'll support the action of them grading themselves. And so I think that's the only challenge. I think a benefit of this approach is absolutely putting student agency first. If we can stop thinking that just lecturing is effective, then I think no matter what we do, whether it's a small step or a big step, every little step counts. I was part of Better in STEM here at Western, and the biggest thing I learned from that, working with my colleagues in our instructional change team, was that even the tiniest little change can be a huge impact. So you're not here to reinvent the wheel. You're not here to change your entire class all 10 weeks. You're here to make one adjustment and see how it works. And that's really what's happened in this class. I've worked on this class for 15 years of my life, and I'm finally here with all these really cool activities. But the change happened slowly over 15 years. And that's a huge benefit to see that little change, that little thing that I can do make a huge impact on student perspective and their learning is so worth it.